When I was younger, I used to think that perfectionism was actually a good thing. I used to use it as like a tool or a mentality so that I could strive to be the best in whatever I was doing. One thing specifically that I realized early on that I was pretty good at was drawing. And so I used this perfectionist mindset to improve and to get better every single day. And I would strive for perfection. And I could say that it served me well in some ways because I excelled in this field. But you see, the thing is, I quickly realized, basically by the time I got to college, that this perfectionist mindset was actually holding me back. And it doesn't matter what field you're in, whether or not it's art or anything else, a perfectionist mindset will hold you back. Basically, what does this mean? A perfectionist mindset, it's something where you are constantly judging yourself to make sure that everything that you do is always up to a certain standard. And you might say, well, that sounds pretty good to me, doesn't it? Because that means that I can keep improving. But the thing is, you're not actually going to improve, because we know the way to improve something is what? To try, make mistakes, learn from them, and then do it again. So if you're always afraid to make a mistake because it's not going to be in line with this perfectionist mindset, you're never going to take action, and it's going to keep you stuck. And I noticed this not only in the field of art, but in other areas of my life. Always staying stuck, feeling like I couldn't actually take action in certain areas of my life because I didn't want to make a mistake. So you can see where the dilemma starts to happen, right? And you are probably nodding your head, noticing these tendencies within yourself. This perfectionist mindset will keep you stuck. And you've realized this. So now you're asking, okay, well, what is it that I can do about it? Well, what I've noticed in myself in order to start overcoming this, which has taken many years, slowly I've been able to overcome this, is to realize that I shouldn't be judged based on what I do in a way where like somebody is looking at me going like, oh, that wasn't good. Like say I made a mistake. If I let that affect my ego, I'm taking it personally. I'm taking it as a personal attack. And I used to do this. So for example, I remember like I did this one particular drawing and I felt really proud of it and I showed other people and they critiqued it. And it made me feel really, really bad inside. And because of that, I started to judge myself, thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough and I'll never be deserving of love. And it's this deep-rooted issue. You see how one simple thing like that can actually affect you so much. It's not the drawing, it's not whatever work you produce that actually matters. It's the fact that you've tied your identity to it. That's the problem. When you have this perfectionist mindset, everything you do needs to be perfect, because if it isn't, you feel unworthy. You feel like you're not deserving of love. And as insane as it may seem, just the fact that, you're hearing this going like, it doesn't really make sense. Exactly. You're starting to realize that it doesn't make sense. But it doesn't stop the fact that it keeps coming to you. So again, how do you break the cycle? How do you break this perfectionist mindset cycle? The only thing that you could do is start to recognize that it's happening and then start to counter it. And what do I mean? Well, basically, the moment that you start to have these tendencies inside, because that's all it is, it's a tendency, this kind of like habitual response that you have. When something happens and you start judging yourself, or somebody says something to you about any work you produced or some kind of action you took, and you start to personally identify with it because it's a mistake, catch yourself and say, hold on a second. Is this person judging me, or am I judging myself too harshly? Is this actually justified? Does this make sense? Oftentimes you'll find that it's not. It makes no sense. It's just that you've gotten used to it. So instead, you start to say to yourself, well, I shouldn't be judged so harshly for this. I'm trying to improve. And the only way to improve, as we've said, is to make mistakes. So you start to see these mistakes not as these like huge roadblocks to success, but as stepping stones to it. And in turn, you will start to see that this is actually way better for you, because this is what we consider a growth mindset. You know, if you're anything like me, you constantly want to keep improving yourself. You're on a path of self-improvement, and you probably always have been, and you always will be. But I'm telling you, the perfectionist mindset is what's keeping you stuck. It's not helping you get forward. Self-improvement is about making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. You can't be afraid to take risks. You can't be afraid to make these mistakes. You have to be willing to take the risks, and whatever comes as a result of it, you learn from the experience. Because if you don't, you're going to be trapped, as you already know. So those moments that those tendencies start to come up, just recognize them for what they are. They're just thoughts. They're just judgments. And you don't need to listen to them.